Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to be sharing with you some of my favorite digital painting programs. Something that would be good to be an alternative to Photoshop, since we all are very aware that recently Adobe kind of pooped the bed. Anyway, if you weren't aware, basically Adobe has a term in their TOS that you basically cannot opt out of, and basically they are using anything you store in the Adobe Cloud is used for AI training. They insist that they did not do that, but I believe we have definitive proof that they did in fact do this. So for those of you who are looking for alternatives for programs specifically to paint in, if you're an illustrator and you want something to paint in, I am going to go over my favorites and ones that I have experience with, and I'll also mention a few others that I don't actually have experience with, but I see a lot of good reports on them online. Anyway, with that said, let's get started. Okay, so first up, we are going to be talking about Affinity Photo, and I'm going to put it right here. And I'm going to switch to like screenshots and stuff here in a moment. Alright, so I feel the best way to tell you about Affinity Photo is just to show you what it looks like and what I use it for. You should notice right off the bat that it looks familiar because it pretty much uses a Adobe Photoshop setup of sorts. You've got all of your tools on the left and your layer paneling and all that on the right, which is pretty typical for most editing programs. And you can scroll through here and see all the different tools there are. I mean, they're all pretty much the same as the stuff in Photoshop, like mesh transform, pen, paint brushes, etc., etc. On the right hand side you have your navigation and your color picker, and your color picker is pretty much set up like it is in Photoshop. You get a square and you can choose your colors, and it gives you all the output numbers if you need those. Then down below here you have your layers palette and your effects palette and your adjustment layers and a whole bunch of layers, and I very newly just discovered this palette here, which adds some funky effects to your artwork, and I was tempted to try some of them here. I don't know if they're actually worthwhile or anything, but I did like this grainy vintage film version of a filter thing here. That's kind of fun. Anyway, I'm shutting down Distraction Town here, and I'm going to show you one of the things that I definitely use it for is for making YouTube thumbnails. This is like my main working YouTube thumbnail, I don't even know what to call it. It basically has everything I've ever made a thumbnail out of in the same file, so that I can just reuse some of the old features and stuff. I know it's a mess, and I know it'll eventually get too large, but it's just my way of doing things. But I feel like I primarily use Affinity Photo as a way to make thumbnails, make resize images for the web. I also use it as an outlet for printing. Here I have my Corgi print set up, and I print directly from Affinity Photo because I prefer it over Clip Studio Paint. Now, before I got distracted with that strange palette of filters, I didn't actually show you the adjustment layers and the FX layers and stuff, so I thought I would just go ahead and show you them here. So basically I've chosen the levels palette, and to activate that I just need to double click on the levels palette, and then a new window will pop up and it will have all the controls you need to set any levels that you want to set. It is different from Photoshop, but it's serviceable. Overall, this program may not have all of the features that Photoshop has, but it has a lot of the basic features down, and it has a few others that are unique to it. I also wanted to add that all of your adjustments layers, they pop up above your original document layer here. You can see that on the right hand side, and you can turn off the view and turn it back on. I mean, that's fairly standard for most applications. So another thing that I use Affinity Photo for is setting up my documents for the print and cut with my Cricut. These are my 2 sheets stickers that I put on all of my sticker sheets that are set, so people understand the reason why the price is higher is because they're getting 2 sheets instead of 1. I also like to use this program for making my signage for conventions, and just in general using it for text, because the text tool is much more robust in Affinity Photo than it is in Clip Studio Paint. You can outline text, which I know you can do in Clip Studio Paint, but I just feel like their text tool is a little too rigid for my liking, especially whenever you want to start transforming it. So I'm going to hit the mesh transform here and start playing around with this testing stuff text that I typed out. You can shift text to follow perspective lines and stuff like that. I know that Clip Studio can do this a little bit, but it's not as good as this. Like, you can really hiccup text, honestly. The only drawback is it does rasterize that layer, so it's not like Photoshop where you can write text on curves without it being rasterized. So there's that, but I mean, it's serviceable. And I feel like I'm saying that word too much. So moving on, in the view palette there is like a plethora of different windows you can pull up. These are just the windows that I usually have active when I'm doing my work, but you can see that there's lots of options here. Now, as far as the paint tools go, they are not as robust as Photoshop. This is more for touching things up, I find. I've been able to use like the airbrush on some prints just to touch up a few areas that I missed in my drawing program, and as you can see, there is no line weight. Correction, there is line weight. I just didn't have the proper button depressed. So please forgive me because I'm still learning this program, but I still recommend it. And now back to the video in progress. So I do not use this program to paint. I mainly use it as a utility for making signs, printing things, and all that other stuff I said before. Okay, so one more thing of note is you can save as a PNG, JPEG, PSD, PDFs, all of those things. You can export your files. It plays nice with other applications, let's just say that. At the time of my filming this, they are offering a 50% off sale, and you can get Affinity Photo for like $34, and then you own it. So even though it may not be quite as robust as Photoshop, and I know that I haven't investigated half of the things in this program, I do think it is definitely worth it, especially if you want to try to get away from Adobe. Next up we have Procreate, which is one of my absolute favorites, mainly because the brushes very much imitate natural media, and we'll go ahead and talk about that. This app is very Elizabeth Barrett Browning, like, how do I love thee? Let me count the ways. I really enjoy this app, especially like the sketching tools are just lovely. The Apple Pencil is wonderful, and I just love this app. Let's just put it that way. I'm just gonna say that if you enjoy drawing and you primarily want an application that is going to be for drawing, definitely consider saving your money and getting yourself an iPad Pro and getting this program with the pencil. It's just so enjoyable to sketch with this. Just doodling around. I mean, you can lay in bed and you can just do a doodle like I'm doing here. I literally was lying in bed and I did this doodle while I was making the screen record for this video. It's just, it feels really natural. It's a lot of fun. And so if you're mostly keyed in with natural media and digital is new to you, this is just a really great app because it's really pared down in complexity, and it's really good for just jumping in and getting drawing. And I mean, that's really what you want to do as an artist. You just want to get in there and draw. So I really think it's great, and this is me just using the 6B pencil here, making a little doodle of a lady just for the heck of it. But yeah, this is just a ton of fun. The line weights and pressures and stuff are just like super fun, like easy, great, awesome. I mean, I really can't say any more nice things about this program. But let's objectively look at a few of the features so you can actually get a feel for this. First of all, you can import a reference, which is, I think, a nice little feature. So you can just, like, if I wanted to draw this girl reading, which is the whole reason why I saved this image for just practicing, you can move it all around on your canvas, and then you can just sketch away. And I think that's just a really nice feature. And then, of course, you have the drawing guides, which I don't think you'll be able to see the bottom panel, but it basically, you can do perspective, you can have a drawing grid, you can do symmetrical, you can insert photos too if doing the reference isn't to your liking. It saves as a bunch of different file types, which is really nice. And then one really great thing is that you can export a time-lapse recording. The app keeps track of your whole painting process, and you can just export that puppy. I didn't do it here because I already exported this one. Anyway, it makes it super easy to be able to share reels and stuff. So if you're wanting to up your game with like the TikToks and shorts and all that stuff, this is a really great option because it just makes it easy breezy for you to make those videos. Now I already said that it is a pretty pared down app, but it has a very robust archive of different brush types. You've got painting and drawing and inking and abstract and all sorts of different types of brushes to paint with. There's also the smudge tool, which basically allows you to smudge anything using the same brushes that you would have to draw. Then you have your color palette. You can organize in these little palettes here. I do like this feature. It's nice to just be able to pop back to some of your favorite colors, but they do have the classic color wheel, which should pop up here in a hot minute, hopefully. And here it is finally. But yeah, it has the color wheel and you can select any color in here. It's great. This is pretty much how I prefer to choose colors, is through the color wheel model here. But if you're jonesing for your Photoshop Square, they've got it. You also have your complementary palette, so you can select colors that'll jive together. And then I got a little crazy with it because it seemed like a fun game to try to chase the other dot around. But anyway, you do you, I guess, and I'll do me. But yeah, I think this is a really great program. It's super great for beginners, and even I think people who are advanced would really enjoy it for sure. I am definitely shook over this program. Thirdly, we have Clip Studio Paint, which I still use quite a lot, but not quite as much as I did whenever I was still creating a bunch of comics. Well, I still create comics, but that's not the point of this video, so let's move on. So with Clip Studio Paint, I feel that it's really great for making comics, but I'm going to start off first here with sharing with you an illustration that I did in Clip Studio Paint. So this is one of my more complex illustrations that used a lot of perspective, and I used like a bajillion layers as well. And yeah, whenever I want to do something more robust, I guess, I will switch to Clip Studio Paint here on my desktop. And I also have a Cintiq that I draw with, which I think makes a difference whenever it's a drawing program on your desktop. Anyway, as you can clearly see, you can do very detailed paintings in this program. I would definitely consider its painting on par with what you're able to do in Photoshop, especially if you have the special brushes. Here, I'm showing you my perspective layer, which has like my snap 2 lines are laid out here. This is how I set up my perspective, and then of course I drew everything out. And the perspective tool here in Clip Studio Paint is much more robust than the one in Procreate. So if you really want to jump into something more extensive, I would suggest jumping into this program. There's a lot more tools available for you in this program than in Procreate. And as far as the brushes go, if you start downloading things like Frienden's brush packs and stuff, you can get a lot of really nice textured brushes like you would in Procreate too. But again, you do have to have like some sort of drawing tablet as well. Next, I wanted to show you one of the features that as far as I know, is pretty unique to Clip Studio Paint. Basically, you see my sketch layer here. You can go up into the layer properties and click the little blue box, and it basically gives you a blue line drawing. It changes your entire layer into a blue line drawing, so then you can ink over it. This is more geared for the people who want to do comics. But I also really enjoy it whenever I can blue line stuff for my illustrations as well. Okay, switching gears again, I am pulling up one of my old comic pages from my last webcomic. This one I did in black and white, and I used the screen tones. That's one thing that Clip Studio Paint has here, is it gives you the ability to do classic manga style comics with screen tones that are easily printable. Another thing that's geared towards the comics people is that you have already pre-made text bubbles or talk bubbles. You can see I'm turning them on and off here. You can adjust the shapes of these bubbles. You can write your text in there, and for the most part the text will make itself look nice inside the bubble, but it does require some finagling. And then you just saw me with my tone layers, and then you have your ink layer. Clip Studio also has some advanced paneling layers, but when I did this comic, I didn't use that. There are just so many great comic tools in here that if you want to get into sequential art, this is the program for you. But definitely, aside from the comics, it also is a really robust illustration tool. I think you can clearly see that. As far as the brushes go, there is a wide variety of brushes that come with the base set, and then you can download things like Frienden's brush packs, and I think Kyle Webster has some as well. There's some really great brush packs out there, and since this program is quite a bit older, there's a pretty robust archive of brushes out there for you to buy. And I know I'm saying robust too much, so I'll try to stop. Anyway, these are the 3 programs that I use pretty much all the time, and I wanted to share those with you, and then I will get on to a few of the honorable mentions. And for honorable mentions, we have GIMP, which has been around for a really long time, and from what I gather, it's a lot like Photoshop. So if you're looking for a Photoshop replacement, you can try GIMP, because it's been around so long, and also they have a version, I believe, for Linux. It's pretty popular, especially among the emerging artists, young artists. Okay, so I know I left a ton of other programs out. As you can see, even just a quick Google search has a list of so many different apps here that you can download. And yeah, I didn't even know about half of these. So if you're looking for something else, definitely get on the Google and go down here for the Reddit and check out Reddit, because Reddit usually has the answers. Anyway, I'm sorry I didn't get to all of them, but I just definitely wanted to share the ones that I've had experience using and that I feel I could actually vouch for. So, yeah. So there you have it. There are quite a few low-cost, or in some cases free, programs that you can invest in for your art career or your art journey, okay? And you do not have to support Adobe in any way if you do not wish to. So Coco, do you have any comments for our viewers today? I see. Want to expand on that? Oh, woo, woo. Well, that is it for this video, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all next time. Have a great day. Bye-bye.